I am reasonably young. Hi, my name is Pam, and I was an epileptic. Right or wrong, a diagnosis really defines a person or a patient, and as that person, I've identified myself as that diagnosis for 20 years. I struggled with blackouts or loss of consciousness from the time I was a little girl. I clearly remember in 3rd grade getting ready to perform in the class play Johnny Appleseed. We were screwing around with scissors, and I got cut in my hand. I'm still scarred from it. I ran to the bathroom and stuck my hand under the faucet, and the next thing I knew, I woke up on the bathroom floor with my friends gathered around me. I was unconscious. And I begged them, please don't tell the teacher because I am never going to be able to be in this play if they find out. They told. I went home. So Mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor declared it hysterical female syndrome. Don't be confused. I am only 47. This was 1971. It wasn't 1692 during the Salem witch trials. Small town America doctoring. So from the time I was 7 years old, I believed I was a hysterical female. I wasn't exactly sure what that meant, but I was pretty sure it was bad news. So every time I had blood drawn, got my ears pierced, I went to the dentist, even as something as simple as getting a pedicure, I'd black out. It was really bad news. I once bit a dentist during a root canal. He might have deserved it. At 27, I was working as a designer when I collapsed face down at the office and was hauled off to the hospital via ambulance. They did an EEG. I was no longer a hysterical female. I was epileptic. So with my newly minted diagnosis came an experiment in terror. How will we control the seizures? At 27, they put me on Dilantin, 100 milligrams a day, 3 times a day. And I'm a machine when it comes to routine. I have followed orders explicitly, and it took a really long time to feel normal on Dilantin. I functioned fairly well, and I was still pounding away at my career and finding success. And I stayed on the Dilantin until I was 34 years old. At that time, I quit smoking, I got engaged, and I was promoted. It was a great year. Unfortunately, my body crapped out on me because of it, just too much stress. I landed in the hospital. I learned that my thyroid had quit working and that I had bottomed out on the Dilantin, which meant that I needed to find a new seizure medication. This was really just the beginning of the fun. I found a reputable neurologist, and he was the first of many in a string of doctors. He had had great success prescribing Tegretol for seizures. So the real pain point when you try a new medication is it takes about 4 weeks to really feel the impact of it. And you don't really know what's happening because it impairs your thinking, and you can be falling downhill and not even know it, and you can't save yourself because your brain is really impacted by them. So it took 4 weeks for the Tegretol to really show its impact. I was sluggish for days, moving about like I was walking through quicksand, going to work every day, though. When I looked up at one of my coworkers, and I said, something's not right. And I saw the horror on her face. My face had swelled beyond recognition. I lost my hearing later that afternoon. I couldn't walk and I couldn't speak. And they got me back to the doctor's office. The doctor looked at me and said, this isn't working. So I came off the Tegretol and sought a new neurologist. He put me on Topamax, which was a fairly new drug for seizure controls. Had a side effect of weight loss, which I was pretty excited about. I can fix everything in one little pill. I had gained a lot of weight with the thyroid and the Tegretol and all this. This was going to solve all my problems. So as I began taking Topamax, I felt invincible. I didn't need sleep. I didn't need to eat. I could do anything and everything, and I did, until that 4-week mark when everything built up and the real trouble began. I couldn't speak, couldn't connect the thoughts from my head to my mouth. I was a mess. I got back to the doctor, and the doctor's like, what's the problem? You look great. I was thinner than I'd ever been in my whole life. He seriously didn't want to take me off of the Topamax, but he eventually conceded, and I went on to the next drug, which was Neurontin. That one didn't work either. And then the next one, which was Depakote, with no success. Nothing was controlling the seizures, and I wasn't functioning very well on any of the medications. Meanwhile, I had gotten married in the midst of all of this and was now a stepmom to 3 fabulous kids. Somehow I managed to keep my job and kept getting promoted. Kind of makes you wonder. I'm not going to question it. So from the age of 34 to 42, I battled through all of these terrible drug trials. And finally, in 2006, I just stopped the pharmaceutical cocktails and continued to live a very cautious life with a really strict schedule of eating and sleeping, controlled habits, completely in a tireless routine. It was working and my career was flying high. Life was good. But in 2008, the world changed, literally. I was enjoying my work, just built a dream home. All was right with the world as far as I could see, until the bubble burst. The housing bubble and the economic collapse was a life-altering moment in time for many, and I am one of them. My company went through a massive reorganization and offered long-term employees an early retirement package. I was scared, but I was also pretty excited about the opportunity. It meant I could start my dream business that I'd always wanted, real estate development and interior design. My then husband and I agreed to a plan, and I started. Unfortunately, stress and pressure impacts everyone just a little bit differently, and it manifests itself in really unexpected ways. And for me, it meant the end of my marriage. So just as things seemed impossibly overwhelming, I've now retired and I'm not married. I received a call from a recruiter from a major retailer in Arkansas. They had researched my career, and they would like me to come down and work for them and do what I had done for the past 24 years. I accepted the offer. Now, Northwest Arkansas, you have no idea the pain it caused me to tell my friends and family that I was going to Arkansas, to a dry county. Just saying. So November 2009, I moved to Northwest Arkansas with my pups, Ainsley and Addison, and we three girls became the reluctant residents in Arkansas. I maintained my lifeline to Chicago and traveled home pretty frequently, just like I did in early February of this year. After a great trip in Chicago, I headed back to the office to a completely uneventful day. That evening, I felt great. I went home to make dinner with a friend, and about 9 o'clock, I started to feel really dizzy, like dizzy I had never experienced before. It felt like vertigo from what had been described to me in the past. I laid down and I just couldn't get the spinning under control. I rose to go to the bathroom and I fell headfirst into a wall. I crawled to the bathroom, had dry heaves. Eventually I made my way back to the bed and I laid down. I sent my friend home. I'm just gonna sleep this off. It's all good, I'm gonna shake this thing, don't you worry. After a few minutes, it wasn't getting any better. So I texted my aunt in Tulsa, an hour and a half away, because she would know. Help, this is what I'm feeling, what should I do? Just go to the hospital. I'm going to sleep. And I texted my cousin, who's actually nearby, and her boyfriend's dad is a doctor, so she gets him on the phone, and he's like, I am not diagnosing over the phone, get her to the hospital. So I conceded. She took me to the hospital, dropped me off. I walked into the front desk, and I explained I was not drunk. They had to understand that, because I sure looked like I was. They hauled me in back right away and sat me down in a chair, got me hooked up with blood pressure, checking that. You know, I forget, I'm 47, so I guess it's time to be worrying about the heart. Didn't think about it at the time. Before I knew it, they had me out of my clothes and into a gown and on a bed in the ER. And they were hooking me up to heart monitors, and just about the time they were going to stick me with the IV, apparently that was when I flatlined. So I came to after 27 seconds, and they were doing CPR, and everyone looked frazzled, and I sure didn't know where I was. And they moved me into the cardiac ICU for the night. Each time I was poked or prodded that night, I had the same experience. 7 times in all, I was completely exhausted. So Thursday morning, the cardiologist and the cardiac surgeon came in. They felt strongly that epilepsy was a misdiagnosis. I have to tell you, I wasn't the best patient in that moment, and I really argued. I mean, I came from Chicago, great doctors. I'm in Arkansas. What do you mean? You guys can't possibly know what this means. Learned a few tough lessons this year. They said, okay, well, if it's not a misdiagnosis, have you gotten this under control? Of course I hadn't. So they explained there's been quite a few cases of now determined misdiagnosed cases of epilepsy. Instead, it's a condition related to vasovagal syncope and an electrical misfire that causes the heart to stop. Hey, that's a bonus treat, right? The recommended solution was a pacemaker. I got to tell you, that's when my heart really stopped. It was never anything I had ever considered in my life that I would need. Like, what, a pacemaker? Is this the only option? Doctor said, no, not at all. You don't have to get the pacemaker now, but I guarantee you'll be back here in 2 weeks, one way or the other. Okay. tell me what that means. He says, you're very lucky to have gotten here last night. You'll either be back here in 2 weeks begging for this, or you'll be in a box. He got my attention. So I didn't really know how to process the information. I'm there by myself. My aunt and uncle are on their way from Tulsa. I know they're going to be there within the hour. I begged for the time to please let me talk to them and understand, some perspective from them as well. As soon as my aunt walked in and I told her the story, she screamed at me, "What are you, nuts? Get the surgery. What are you waiting for?" So within 30 minutes of that moment, I was on the table and they were placing my pacemaker. Doctor was super supportive. Friday, I was released. I had the surgery on Thursday. Friday, I was released. And the doctor just looked at me and he said, "I'm amazed by what you've accomplished in your life with this condition. And I can't wait to see what you'll accomplish now that you can have a normal life." It was really interesting at the time, a lot going on in my mind, but it didn't really make sense to me until now. I really didn't have a very normal life. I always led a very cautious life, always worrying if I was going to fall unconscious somewhere. I was just very, very careful. And now that everything is working like it should, I don't have to be so cautious. Skydiving next. I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes gasping for air, and I didn't understand what it was or why. I figured it was bad dreams. But when I got home with my new pacemaker in place, I would feel it kicking in about 3 o'clock in the morning. So apparently in my sleep, my heart rate would drop so low and potentially even stop. My theory is my body had built a workaround. I never slept very deeply at all, so this kept me in a place where I could wake up if my heart rate had gotten too low, which I sleep great now. I don't have to wake up at 3 in the morning to make sure my heart's running. I've lost 15 pounds with no effort. Maybe not a big deal to some of you guys. That was huge for me. It was as soon as everything got into working order and functioning like it was supposed to, I just feel great. So no one shops for cardiologists. You have a critical situation and you get who you get. Everything happens for a reason. Because I moved to Arkansas, near Mercy Hospital, I had the very good fortune to have found one of the best cardiologists. There's a doctor there that's pushing the envelope and using all of his resources and thinking in new ways and making a huge difference in people's lives. The doctor talked about the Medtronic Adapta model that he intended to use. I'm sure I rolled my eyes at the time and said, "What are you talking about?" Thank goodness it was up to someone much more patient than I am to determine the brand of equipment to use. The doctor was clear that if they didn't have this model available, he was going to get one to the hospital. He was not going to compromise on the product he intended to place. This is a doctor that's making a difference. He didn't give me my life back. He never had my life. He gave me the opportunity at 47 years old to start my life with no fear and no boundaries. I used to get so stressed out with work and everything was so important. I would say to the team, "Hey, this is marketing. We're not saving lives here. You guys are saving lives here. What do you say when you get stressed out while you're working?" It's amazing. My name is Pam, and I have a Medtronic pacemaker, and I want to thank you for what you do every day. It has saved my life.
Thank you. That's a great story.
Great.